a José González-Valencia, alias La Chepa.
Es José González-Valencia, conocido, ya lo decía, como el Chepa o La Chepa. Tiene
a José González-Valencia, también conocido como el Chepa.
Jose Gonzalez-Valencia is known for being the second most powerful man in the criminal group, after the leader, who remains at large. Gonzalez-Valencia is one of Mexico's most wanted fugitives. He's been charged with money laundering and organized crime. Jose Gonzalez-Valencia is the founder of Los Cuinis, an organization that is a branch of the more enormous Jalisco New Generation Cartel. It was a challenge to apprehend this criminal because multiple false identities protected him. Here is more about Jose Gonzalez-Valencia. Born in Mexico, Jose Gonzalez-Valencia is better known by his aliases El Chepa, Camarón, and Santi. There were a total of 18 children born into the Gonzalez-Valencia family. It's believed that several of his siblings were involved in criminal enterprises known as the Jalisco New Generation Cartel, in which its headquarters is in the state of Jalisco. This organization had an affiliated group known as Los Cuinis. The family history of involvement in the narcotics trade can be traced back to Armando Valencia Cornelio, often known as El Maradona, who established the Milenio cartel in the Mexican states of Michoacán and Guerrero. He and the rest of his family, including Gonzalez-Valencia and his siblings, ran the family business. During an attack carried out by a group of armed individuals in a cockfighting arena in Tonala, Jalisco, Gonzalez-Valencia and his siblings Abigail and Edgar came dangerously close to losing their lives. 28 persons were injured, including Gonzalez-Valencia, who shot in the arm, and Antonio Oseguera Cervantes, also known as Tony Montana, who's believed to be a high-ranking member of the CJNG. There was a total of 4 people who were taken out by this incident. When the security personnel arrived at the arena, they found several people who could be seen at the cockfighting event also had assault weaponry and bulletproof vehicles in their possession. The Jalisco state government didn't make any arrests at the scene on the attack because they didn't believe it was necessary to arrest any of the victims of the assault. In Mexico, Gonzalez-Valencia was the subject of many active criminal investigations in multiple states simultaneously. A civil court in Jalisco had issued a warrant for his arrest on an allegation of homicide, and the warrant was still active. Prosecutors in Mexico have suspected that he was responsible for the assassination of Jess Ivarez Gallegos, who served as the Secretary of Tourism for the state of Jalisco and was taken out in Zapopan. Gonzalez-Valencia was the one who was assassinated, receiving the order to do so from his brother-in-law Nemesio Oseguera Cervantes, also known as El Mencho, who was the most senior member of the CJNG. John Perro stated that the CJNG suspected he was laundering money on behalf of the Knights Templar cartel, a rival group of the CJNG. John Perro claimed that this was his motive for the murder. The Mexican authorities have a strong suspicion that Gonzalez-Valencia played an essential part in the CJNG while he was living in Mexico. Plus, it's believed that he directed the growth of the CJNG in Mexico over narcotics regions formerly held by the Knights Templar cartel in Michoacán. Gonzalez-Valencia was in charge of the CJNG's financial operations and supervised the organization's ties with other criminal networks in Asia and Europe. These are the regions to which the CJNG transfers narcotics that it's obtained in Mexico. Additionally, Gonzalez-Valencia was accused by the CISEN of managing contact with armed traffickers based in the United States and Central America. After the seemingly invincible CJNG group lost their leader and the second-in-command was arrested, how will this notorious criminal group reorganize after these blows? Leave your comments in the comment section down below, and I'll respond to each and every one of them in the first 2 hours after the video comes out. The beach resort in Aquiraz, Sierra, was the location of Gonzalez-Valencia's detention at the hands of the Brazilian police. Since the moment he landed in Brazil from the Pinto Martins, the security forces had been monitoring his every move. The entire monitoring operation, which ultimately led to his arrest, was managed from the main headquarters of the federal police in Brazil. They became aware that he was in Brazil as soon as he landed and checked in, but instead of approaching him at the airport, they opted to follow him to the location he was headed to. The Brazilian police searched hotel registration records and inquired with rental vehicle businesses in order to trace the suspect as he traveled throughout the country. Plus, they'd accessed their surveillance system to collect information with him. He took his family on a trip to Brazil over the Christmas holidays and leased a beach house in the Taba beach area of the country. Gonzalez-Valencia had made the journey from Bolivia to Brazil alone, and he was looking forward to seeing his family there. In addition to his wife and their child, he was joined by a few close pals. He didn't put up a fight when the law enforcement officers encircled him in the resort area and attempted to arrest him. Because of Gonzalez-Valencia's alleged involvement in narcotics trafficking in Mexico and in the United States as a member of the CJNG, he was transferred to the headquarters of the Federal Police of Brazil in Fortaleza, which is located in the state of Saraya. The authorities requested to transfer him to the United States. Authorities in Bolivia have announced that they intend to cooperate with their counterparts in Brazil to share information, as well as coordinate their efforts regarding the Gonzalez-Valencia case. When the news about Gonzalez-Valencia's arrest became known in Brazil, the Mexican authorities didn't issue an official statement. They claimed that he wasn't in Brazil to engage in any illicit activities, and he was only there for recreational purposes, and that he didn't have any acquaintances that lived in Brazil. Multiple operations launched by the government have resulted in the arrest of several high-ranking members of both the CJNG and the Los Cuinis in Mexico. Both criminal organizations have a more substantial presence than in other countries. The United States government had implemented economic penalties and taken legal action against the organizations and several of their top officials in federal courts. Brazil is regarded as an appealing center for criminal organizations to launder money, which suggested that the Gonzalez-Valencia family was seeking commercial prospects there. Gerardo Gonzalez-Valencia, Gonzalez-Valencia's brother, was detained in Uruguay on suspicion of involvement in narcotics trafficking and money laundering. El Chepa, Mencho's brother-in-law, pleads guilty to narcotics trafficking in the U.S. In the United States federal court located in the District of Columbia, Jose Gonzalez-Valencia, also known as El Chepa, entered a guilty plea to the charge of trafficking narcotics internationally. The other criminal organization leader, Los Cuinis, entered a guilty plea to the charge of conspiring to distribute more than 5 kilograms of narcotics to bring into the United States. The authorities in that country have stated that the defendant resorted to severe violence to accomplish what he had set out to do, in addition to being responsible for smuggling large quantities of illegal substances into the United States. Gonzalez-Valencia cooperated with Los Cuinis and the CJNG to transport thousands of kilograms of narcotics into the United States. At the very least, he's expected to receive a mandatory minimum term of 10 years in jail. At the very most, he might receive a legal maximum sentence of life in prison. Because Gonzalez-Valencia's arrest received widespread media coverage, his legal team requested that the proceedings be kept under wraps to safeguard both their client and his family. The Special Task Force, the STF, disagreed with the request from Gonzalez-Valencia's legal team and the federal police to have the court permit Gonzalez-Valencia to be transferred to a different prison closer to the location of his extradition hearings. The STF disagreed with this request. Gonzalez-Valencia was detained at a facility that both the federal police and the defense team claim had several problems. Gonzalez-Valencia issued a writ of amparo in which he asked for his extradition and chastised the Mexican government for not asking for his extradition to Mexico. Gonzalez-Valencia wanted him to be sent to Mexico. The motion was handed into a court of appeals with its headquarters in Mexico City. The appeals court asked for this information from different federal institutions, and as a result, the court hearing had to be postponed many times. The minister of the STF, Jose Celso de Mello Filho, approved for Gonzalez-Valencia to be transferred to the federal penitentiary of Mosoro. After the request was initially turned down by the STF several months ago, the federal police asked STF to review their decision and grant the application. The United States Department of State, Justice, and Treasury have all indicated that they would be working together to take legal action against the CJNG. Gonzalez-Valencia was involved in distributing 5 kilograms or more of narcotics from Mexico and other locations for illegal importation into the United States. The United States government confirmed that they were offering up to $5 million as a reward for the information that would lead to his arrest throughout the Narcotics Rewards program. The indictment indicated that Gonzalez-Valencia would be required to relinquish any profits that he made due to the violation if found guilty of the crime. Who is El Chepa, Mencho's brother-in-law and leader of Los Cuinis? The Brazilian authorities arrested Jose Gonzalez-Valencia, aged 47, in December of 2017. In November of 2021, he was taken from Brazil and brought to the United States for extradition. Legal papers state that from 2006 to October 2016, Gonzalez-Valencia headed the worldwide narcotics trafficking organization Los Cuinis. The criminal organization Los Cuinis, which had its headquarters in Mexican state Jalisco, is said to have close ties with the Jalisco New Generation Cartel, according to evidence given in court. Los Cuinis and the CJNG make up one of Mexico's most immense, violent, and productive narcotics cartels. El Chepa is the brother of the leaders of Los Cuinis, Abigail Gonzalez-Valencia and Gerardo Gonzalez-Valencia. Plus, El Chepa is the brother-in-law of Nemesio Oseguera Cervantes, also known as Mencho, who is the leader of the CJNG. And that's it for today's video. So, yep, if you like this video, then click that like and the bell button, and we'll have another video for you soon. Or more videos for you soon. The multiple kind of variety. Anyways, take care until then.